Hello, I'm Jamie McEwan,
Hello, I'm Gregor McEwan.
and welcome to the McEwan Brothers podcast.
Here we discuss life, comedy, money, and much more, not only with us, but with guests.
So have a listen, hopefully you'll learn something, and if not, you'll at least have a giggle. And hope you guys enjoy. Peace out.
Just us this week, so let's get started.
Hello, and welcome back to the McEwan Brothers podcast.
Hello, welcome back. Glad to be here.
And this is episode 2 of our podcast, and we hope you guys come along and enjoy.
Yeah, hope you enjoy it. This will be a good one.
Great. So today's episode, same as last week, we're going to stick with the 3-subject theme. And first subject for today, Gregor, will be...
We're going to talk about YouTube and everything that encompasses, our experience with it. And I'm sure, Jamie, you've got some interesting topics. You have your own YouTube channel. We're uploading our videos here to YouTube. So yeah, should be interesting.
Yeah. And what was our first topic for today, though?
Is that not the first one? Or are we talking... Is the first one our American trip?
The film Tag.
Oh.
So guys,
I've got a note and I've written YouTube America. I've just totally missed it. Tag.
Okay, well, let's continue on. So
Okay.
as of last week, remember talking about the film. So we brought up the aspect of the film Tag. I'd watched it. I said to Gregor, and if you watched it from watching the last episode, hopefully you've enjoyed it as much as I did. So I just want to see what Gregor's thoughts on it were, and we'll have a wee discussion. So Gregor, what were your thoughts? What did you think?
Yeah, so Tag, I didn't realize, first of all, it's based on a true story, which you don't find out until, well, is this a spoiler? Well, you don't find out until the end, right? And I
Yeah.
guess I'm looking here at the photo of Tag, the screen image of the advertising poster, and it's got literally Tag in big writing. It's got based on a true story. We're not kidding. So you find out at the end, which is interesting and a good way to finish the film. But the whole premise of it is a group of guys, friends from childhood, have played tag for over 30 years, Jamie?
Yeah, so over 30 years. I'm going to go right on the point of the fact it was actually, it's real. Like, there's people, this is it's a true story. It makes it so much better. And the way they did it, showing you it at that end, throughout the whole film, I was like, this, obviously you think it's made up. Someone's writers created this. And then to finish off with that, it was a bit of an icing on the cake situation.
Yeah, I would agree. It's really easy watching film. I'm not big on, remembering director names or actor names, but I guess for context, I'm looking at Wikipedia here, and we've got it directed by Jeff Homsick. I don't know what else he's directed, but got a lot of famous actors in there as well. You've got Ed Helms, Jake Johnson, Annabelle Wallace. You've got Hannibal Burgess, quite a few other famous people.
I don't know if the favouring factor of Ed Helms, who is, if you're not heard of him or know of him, he's actually on The Office, which we talked about last week. Which
That's
his
true.
character and the way he portrays himself in these films he's superb. He's actually really does his acting, his skill set is great at showing it throughout the film.
I think the way is, I don't know if it's true in this, they obviously edited it for the movie, but John Hamm is in there as well, and Jeremy Renner.
Well, yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah, and the role that he plays in the film, being almost like the bad guy, and he well, it's spoiler, but do we want to spoil it, or do we want to let people experience it?
If you've listened to our last podcast, so we'll say here, if you've not watched the film Tag, stop now, watch it, and come back to this.
Good idea. Watch it, come back, and this guy, Jeremy Renner, the character name I don't know, but he plays like the bad guy. He just cannot get tagged for 30 years. And I think the way they film it and use slow motion for the tag scenes, the very specific tag scenes using slow motion, that just adds to the film, I think. Otherwise, it would be quite boring. If they just done tag, oh, you're it, and then they switched across. The way they compose each scene for the potential tag that this character's going to get, I think that kind of makes the film. It's that interaction so good.
It's the fact it's for a month. So like in the film, it's for a whole month. They like 1 month every year. They take time out of like work and everything else, and you're allowed to go tag people. And it's like in our rules, it's like they've got like a rule book as well. Do you remember the wee sheet of rules that they have?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good film. Anyway, to continue from that, what would you give it? What would you rate the film? So me and Gregor, as our family, we always basically do the basic rating. 0 is rubbish, 10's the best.
And I
I've not
mean,
really got.
I think the thing with the sliding scale that we do is like, if it's a 7, it's like an okay film. But anything
Yeah,
below a 7 is like, you're kind of like, really? You finished the film? Was it worth it? Like, sitting through a 6, for example. But if you sit through an 8, you're like, oh, I need to watch it. If it's a 9, it's like a must watch. A 10
yeah.
is like, do we have many 10s? I don't know many 10s that we've seen as a family, but there's.
I think we struggle as a family to give a 10. But I think you're just our scale is like it realistically goes from 6. 6, what's the point in watching it? 7's good or okay.
Yeah.
8's that's a half decent film. 9, you better go watch it. 9.5, it's the best film we've seen.
Forget about the halves here. There's like 8.5, 7.5.
Yeah.
So we
So
do have that. We do have that scale, which I don't know adds to it. It's quite funny. I would give it a. It's definitely a watch. I think it's like an easy watch. I think it's better than a 7. I'm gonna give it an 8.
nice. I think for myself, I think I'd probably give it an 8.5. I get real satisfaction out of seeing films that have developed into a real story. So like basically from someone's told this to a director, or this is it was real happening in life, and becoming in a real film is quite satisfying.
I'd agree.
So
That was a really nice ending because they do show real clips of
yeah,
the friends playing it, and I was like, that's so good. And then there's a scene where the guy's like obviously coming off a plane, and the whole point of tag in this month is that you be tagged anywhere, no matter where you live. So obviously I think they're based in America, and obviously they have grown up, their lives are different. So to catch somebody coming off a plane that you didn't expect it, one of your childhood friends, is just so good.
yeah, definitely. One of the things I thought, so after watching the film, I spoke to our dad about it. He had seen it before. He's the one that actually recommended it, gave the
Okay.
thought process to me. Do you think you could start that with a group of friends now?
That's a really good question. Really good. I think if I were to say to my close friends and be like, guys, look, I've watched this film, Tag. It seems like a really nice, cool thing that we can do every month, a month of the year. Let's give it a shot. For me personally, like if one of my friends were to say that, I would be a bit like, you're just trying to live a dream in a way. You're trying to live something that somebody else has created, and I don't think that sticks. I don't think that would last, and that makes me go like, yeah, I'd rather do something that I know we would enjoy, or we've created ourselves, rather than a game that we're just emulating because it's in a film and it's like a cool idea. So I probably would struggle to get it going consistently. 30 years is a long time, and to start it halfway through effectively, or I don't know, if considering you started it they started it when they're kids at school. Yeah, I don't know if it would stick. What about you? What do you think?
For me, the attachment they have, the people who actually do that, the attachment they have from being a very young age and creating that bond, and it was something they did all the time, and that it's not something as growing up as me and going into high school. It's not a thing you run about playing tag for every year. You kind of grow out of it, and they've obviously stuck by it and done it for such a long period of time that I think it'd be harder for me to start doing it now.
They've had to adapt it for like adult life. Like they choose a month a year. I guess that's why the rule book is there. But it seems like they developed that rule book when they were kids. But obviously added to it since they're getting older, or as they're getting older. I mean, do you think I agree with you. It's a nice idea, and it's such a cool thing to like say you've done, and like obviously there's a movie from it. But could you do it? Do you think you would do it and have friends to do it?
I think it'd be hard to get in today's world with the way technology is. It's hard to get people to be doing that sort of activity. Like even a month of the year because your friends could be all over, such as in the film, they fly all over the place and they're in different cities and stuff. So that makes it a bit harder for that to happen.
There's
But
other
yeah, I think
aspects. There's other aspects of. I like the idea of that, and I think there's other things that you could do. For example, it sounds, it's probably it's a routine almost, like every year at Christmas, go down to the pub with your friends and you meet up.
yeah,
It's like you're just building it or embedding it into like a routine. So if you're able to do that with something that everybody enjoys, it makes sense. Like what did Dad do, like that quad biking thing almost every year at some point.
yeah.
These kind of aspects, or we could go and play a certain golf course every year. But I like the idea, and it was a good film. I'd recommend it.
So I think from that we'll move on to our next section.
Okay.
Do you want to, since you introduced it at the wrong time, but you can start it now. I'll let you
You want me
continue.
okay. So our next segment is YouTube. So YouTube, for me, I really value it as a resource. I've used it to learn different skills like Photoshop. I've used it to learn different skills for job interviews. And then most recently is like setting up the podcast and uploading videos there. I haven't really used it as a creator. I know you have, Jamie, but for me, it's a great resource for entertainment as well. Learn a lot from it's such a varied tool. And I don't know if I regard it as a tool, but it's a tool where you have a lot of, because there's so much content on there, you can jump into entertainment, education, and then there's the aspect of, it's kind of like a social media platform as well, where you saw a video or you've seen a video and you just jump down to the comments and you actually find some information there as well. So yes, it's a really good resource that I like, and I definitely want to jump more into the creator side. But Jimmy, you want to tell us about your experience with YouTube?
Yeah, so I'll kind of back up that. Basically, the versatility of YouTube is massive, and the growth opportunity it has for our lifetime, I think, there is monumental. I think the opportunities, albeit it's more and more people are posting videos, but as we consume more and more, it's the demand's still there. Last year, there was, as of 2020, there was over 6,000 YouTubers that had 1 million subs. You think about that, that's 6 million people getting, clicking subscribe to these people and generating that revenue and stuff. But on my point of view, so I like YouTube in aspect of being creator. I have recently launched my YouTube channel, which is just based on my name. I'm trying to do financial advice. But not so much financial advice, basically talk about my financial situation, what I'm trying to do, and goals that I'm setting myself to try and grow my wealth. I'm hoping to develop it into obviously our property, as me and Gregor go down that route, getting buy-to-lets, different investment strategies, and even going into my own business, such as McEwan Garden Care. And just talking about everything I do within that aspect and grow it as much as I can so people can learn from me. I want it to be an opportunity for people to not just go on to it and listen to me and see what I'm doing and be like, oh, that person's doing this. I want people to go on to it and be able to learn something from what I'm telling them. I don't want it to just be a platform for, just, sit and watch, where, you have some YouTubers you just put on in the background to sit and watch and stuff. But I'm hoping to either influence people and basically become like a YouTube influencer.
Yeah, I think that is a really good way to approach it, because if you're providing content which is educational, it's bound to get views, because people want to learn, understand what you're doing. You are setting up a business, you're educating people about what you're up to. It's interesting, it's financial, they can benefit from it. So there's a lot going on, and I think that would be good. It's just, I guess, building consistency into your routine and making sure you're putting content out there and maintaining you want to maintain a standard, but at the same time you want to come across charismatic and be presentable on the screen, and the way you produce it as well needs to be of quality which people will watch, but that will come over time.
One of the things is, as our dad has other social media platforms such as Quora, and he's been consistent with that, and the consistency is shown to pay off, as he has over 400,000 now followers on these platforms. And you can see it with certain YouTubers who have been posting regularly, you know, once, twice a week. A lot of YouTubers have even talked about their past and said, such as Stephan, one of you. So Graham
Yep.
Stephan, the YouTuber, has talked about basically he did 3 videos a week for 3 years and has got him to where he is now. And that's the only reason that he's developed and grown to the subscribers.
What kind of videos does this YouTuber make?
So this YouTuber is all about financials, investing, world markets, everything that's going on in the world, basically to do with finance and property. So really, it's quite interesting. I've learned a lot from him. The only thing I find is a lot of these people who are doing these channels and stuff is American based. There's a lot of Americans. It's very popular and big over there where people want to go do that, and it's like a passion that they have to try and go in that route. I think within the UK, there's still that scarcity, and you know, being called out on it is
Yeah,
big. That people have the freedom to do it.
I think a lot of the time the issue with the financial stuff is there's people who want to do it and maybe are good at it, and there's a lot of like regulations and rules around providing financial advice. So people don't want to tread that water. So if you were to say to somebody, you should invest in this share, like I don't know if that's actually legal because you're not qualified. So you can't provide financial advice to people because you need to have relevant qualifications to do so. So if you're doing it online, technically you're treading like a thin line. But if you put it in a frame of, you know, this is my opinion, this is what I think would be well, and you know, I'm providing knowledge and experience of like why I'm doing this, not telling people to do it, that kind of like goes, I guess, bypasses those reasons or those rules. But yeah, I don't know if you thought about that.
So whenever I would talk about advice for people and talk about basically say that this share or like this share and doing that or this company is good and stuff, I always like to make it aware that I am not a financial advisor. I have no qualifications in that sector to be able to say anything on that lines. And if so, you should say that you should be going to get an advice with these people, and obviously these come with financial costs and stuff like that. But yeah,
But, you know, I think you're right. There's a lack of like, I guess, you know, financial education, like people like your age doing this. So there's definitely like a gap there to build up a following in that space, which I think you're good at, and you'd be good at it. So keep going.
Yeah, it's just about growth. I think continuing consistency. I've not posted a video for 3 weeks now. Uni's just took over, but I hopefully once uni's finished, I can really concentrate on getting videos consistently out. I'm trying to get videos out in the coming week, but we don't know. Time and management is key with all of this, and I'm not exactly the best at it.
It takes time to, you know, do the research and produce a video and then edit and all this sort of thing. And with this, I feel like what's good and what's making us do it, you know, 2 weeks in a row, is that we've got somebody to rely on, somebody to say, okay, are you jumping on today at this time to record it? Whereas if you're doing it yourself, it's harder to, I've got a million other things I want to do, so then you don't do it. It's kind of prioritizing what's important in your life. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you get around that. You jump on a call with me and you record yourself doing it, or yeah, I know some people just jump on a call and do like study sessions. So you'd be like a call like this, and you could be like doing your YouTube stuff. I could be doing whatever I'm doing, and it'd be like, okay, that's it, done for an hour. I'll see you tomorrow. Or did you manage? You know, you discussed, did you manage to finish what you want to do today? Did you complete it?
Yeah.
And it's like you've got somebody else to bounce off. I think that's a big part.
That's actually quite a good idea and concept of obviously just, you know, not even, it doesn't even have to be talking to the person, just have them in the call to make them feel like, oh, I need to do this. And then once it's done, you've be satisfied that you've actually accomplished something. Because I know for a lot of time with my uni work, if I was more efficient with it, I could be getting these YouTube videos up, making them more often and be consistent with it. Whereas because I'm in my own bubble in this room, when I come to do uni work, I've really struggled to be specific and, you know, half an hour, get that done, half an hour this done, half an hour that done, because this it could be a lot further. Anyway, we're going on with that section. Let's finish it off with who's your favorite YouTuber and why? If you've not got a favorite, you can say a couple or something, if whatever suits.
Okay. That's a really good question. There was one that I just recently, well, not discovered, but he uploaded a recent video that I saw. Danny
Yeah?
MacAskill. You know, the
No.
biker. You've bound to have seen his videos. He's a Scottish
Oh,
trial cyclist. And he just uploaded a video. I think he's sponsored by Red Bull, but he just uploaded a video of him going down. I can't remember what the video is. The slabs. I'm just looking at it now. The slabs
yeah.
on the Isle of, what's the Isle? Anyway, north of Scotland.
Yeah.
Basically walks up these slabs, which are really steep. You know, to go up them, you need all the mountain gear and stuff, like, you know, good shoes and, you know, that sort of thing. But you don't need the ropes. You can literally walk up it. And then he is walking up this with the bike on his back. And then he proceeds to cycle down it. It's unbelievable. The skill, and I guess, you know, he's a thrill seeker, obviously, and he is scared of things, but he does it for a living. What's great about the video that they've done is drone photography of him going down, and it's almost like constant footage, and it's so well filmed, and you watch it and you're like, Jesus, how does he even get down these slabs? So I'd recommend that.
It terrifies me going down the thought of 3 steps on a bike. Never mind a mountain.
I'll send it to you. You can watch it. We should put it in the show notes. It'll be there.
Put it in notes. We'll put it in the links below for his channel to kind of go and see him.
What about you? What's caught your eye, or what do you watch?
I've got like sections. So I've got YouTubers that are like car guys that I like to watch. So such as TJ Hunt. He's recently just got himself a Hurricane Lamborghini and does modifications to Mazda RX-7s. It's like JDM sort of old kind of cars and brings them back to life, which I love. Then I've got someone called George Janko, pals with like Logan Paul and stuff, and I kind of got to know him through kind of watching Logan Paul stuff early on, like years ago. Got to know him, and he's just really funny. He's quirky. He's just a good laugh, someone to just watch for a laugh. And then apart from that is my financial guys, so such as the guys talking about before, Graham. Financial, basically,
That's a good
car guy, funny, and financials is what my 3 sort of sections are for that YouTube stuff. The third and final section for today's podcast is about America, where I went to work for 3 months on a camp doing golf, gardening, and sports. Within that, I did other activities, water sports, and helped teach. From there, I finished that up and planned a trip with Gregor, and he came out for the end of the trip where I met him in New York.
Okay, so this segment is going to be about what we class as our American trip in 2019. You were out obviously doing your Camp America, which was really good for you, and I think you got a lot of experience and had a lot of fun doing it. And afterwards, before you went, was a whole thing of like, Berger, are you going to come out, or am I going to come out and go traveling with you? And then ended up being, yes, we're going to do it. And I remember sitting in my room at the time, but you're in it now.
Yeah.
In front of the computer, being like, okay, you've got everything planned. You're like, your flights are booked. You know what you're doing. 3 months. You know where you're going to be. And then it was down to me to be like, are we trying to do a bit of planning before we went? It's like, okay, we need to figure out where we're going. And it was running out of time before you left. And it was like left to me to be like, right, I'm away. You plan the journey. You plan it all. And I was like, oh, Jesus.
I
Putting
remember,
everything together. But yeah, I guess that's what our segment's going to be about. Like the whole experience.
like, I remember, so before we started, before I even left, me and you were discussing about it, and Mum and Dad were really pushing it on you to be like, oh, can I just go, just do it. And then it did come. Finally, you said yes. But by the time you had said yes, I was busy organizing everything else I had to do to get ready to go. So I was like, not concentrating on like 3 months down the line. I was like, let's go, get myself ready. And then the day I had to leave, I remember it was really hard. Going to the gate, burst into tears after going. But once I got there, I had an amazing time doing the 3 months at the camp. I would recommend it to anyone if obviously the now with everything that's going on, it's not ideal. But later in life, if you're listening to this and you think about doing it, I recommend doing it. And don't think you need to be like in your early 20s or anything like that. There's a couple of guys there that were, 30. The one of them was 31, the other one was 34. They still came out and did it. It's just I can't help it.
So I feel like this segment should be, obviously we done 2 weeks in America. I planned it, but I can't remember the exact length of the time we were there. Anyway, 2 weeks, and I feel like we're going to break this up because it's a lot to talk about. We'll break it up. The premise is that Jamie went to Camp America, and I was to join him afterwards on another extended trip. So yeah, this is the beginning of our discussion of this trip, and we're going to try and share like our insights of like what we did, what places we really enjoyed, and maybe learnings from it as well. Do you have any ideas of what else we could highlight, Joey?
I think it's just giving recommendations for if you're going to do something similar, show you how we did it and what we thought good, what was the bad, and what was the ugly.
Yeah, that's the good, bad, and ugly of our trip. And I think there's a lot of stuff we done well and stuff that we planned. We didn't plan, but we did it last minute. And like stuff we did in New York. Hint, hint.
Night before stuff.
Yes, and that just made the trip a lot better, more fun, and to look back and reflect would be great. So that's going to be what we're going to discuss.
The only thing I was thinking was the financials of it. Do we want to talk about obviously like the sort of costs? Because obviously we did spend a fair amount of cash over the two. It was like 2 weeks, I think it was.
As we're discussing it, planning it and doing everything, I think it makes sense to discuss like financials because we obviously were on a budget, but we saved in areas where we could spend in others. So discussing like how we did it and how we planned it as well, I think that will be valuable. So we'll cover all bases.
Are we planning? Are you going to start sharing the photos and we're just going to slide through them, or do you want to just click on random ones? How do you want to do it now?
I've got a feeling that if we start now, we'll get carried away. So maybe we should do it as we plan. We give the structure of how we plan to share the information. So we should structure it around where we went in our trip.
Yeah. Okay. So what we'll do then is I think we'll call this episode here, and what we'll do is next week we'll go into more detail all about our trip to America, and I think the episodes for the next couple will be about our trip, as there was so much stuff to talk about, details, everything was. Hey Greg, it was just one in a lifetime trip that you'd go back and do something similar, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, it was really good fun. I'm glad it went, and just to join up with you after what you'd been through was really interesting and funny to learn what you'd been up to. So we can cover some of that as well, I think, in like an introduction. And yeah, we'll take it from there. So basically, is there anything we want to share regarding this trip today?
I think, well, we started off, let's just go, basically we'll give you a rundown of our whole trip, and from there we'll go forward. So we started off with New York, Gregor, then
flew into JFK, and then we went to Philadelphia.
From Philadelphia, we went on to Washington,
DC. Then we made our way up to Buffalo.
Buffalo was an interesting wee town, but we'll get into that later on.
Yeah.
Then from Buffalo, we made a flight. No, it was a train actually.
No, you're wrong. It was a flight.
It was a flight to Boston.
Yes.
No, yeah, flight to Boston. and in Boston we got a train
Yep.
into New York.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. So yeah, kind of a round trip, literally. Loop around to New York again. So yeah, it took us 2 weeks. And yeah, tune in for next week when we build out the journey.
Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
Oh,
Bye bye.
see you next week. Bye bye.